At this critical juncture, Erb could have easily eliminated the chief, yet he spared the villain. The chief never dared to trouble Erb again. Some attribute it to fear of retaliation, others to a guilty conscience and gratitude. The real reason? Oil was discovered in his territory. But in reality, the chief was preoccupied with counting money, having no time for oil scores. He soon ranked among the world's top 5 richest. Water must ask the protagonist himself for the story's ending. On a bustling night, as Uncle had another one of his dream wanderings, Water decided to wrap him up like a burrito and bravely woke him up. Thankfully, Uncle didn't blow up. He just chuckled and shook his head. This gave Water a chance to ask about the end of the story. Uncle turned away silently, as if pondering, "Who woke me from my beauty sleep?" He cast a lonely silhouette, revealing inner bitterness. The story ends with a soulflower blooming quietly in Walter's heart. In a way, the ending of the story wasn't all that rosy. Their love story didn't last forever. After Noli passed away, Uncle went back to his military career. It took him a solid 40 years of fighting to finally return to this land, greying all the while. But no, young Water began to question whether the stories he had heard his mother's lifelong education left him unable to tell truth from fiction. But Uncle said, what matters isn't the story's truth, but what you believe. People often mention that glory, courage, and righteousness are what truly matter in life. But power and money, now that's everything. Remember it. Love, true love, doesn't just up and vanish. Don't forget this, whether it's real or fake. We should believe in these ideals because these are worth believing in. Those stories may not be real, their beauty always is. Walter finally matured. He wished for Uncle to live a long, happy life. Never give up hope till he's a real man. He'll always be by your side. Under moonlight, the bond warms like spring breeze, promise flows gently. Suddenly, it's harvest time. Seeds they planted over the years have borne rich harvests. The trio feasted on corn for a month and even bought a shiny new fishing boat. Their lives were no longer grounded. They sought the thrill of soaring in the sky. One night, Water suddenly caught a noise outside. He saw his uncle go to the old warehouse, open a wooden board, and climb in. Soon he came out with a big bundle of cash. All of this unfolded before Water's eyes. Once Uncle left, he opened the board to find it stuffed with cash. Looks like the rumors were true. Those 2 uncles were indeed rich. Rumor had it they made their fortune through robbery, just like modern-day Robin Hoods. Water was restless and couldn't sleep. Until late at night, his mother returned, bringing along her new detective boyfriend. The detective claimed that Uncle was actually a bank robber. Mom chimed in, insisting that their wealth was all ill-gotten gains. He hoped Water would reveal the money's hiding place, or be seen as abetting criminals. Reluctant to betray his uncle, Water glanced at the old warehouse. Unfortunately, the detective caught that movement and forcefully dragged him toward the old warehouse. Just as luck would have it, upon escaping his mother's line of sight, the detective's true colors were revealed. He punched Water hard, threatening him to disclose the money's location. At this moment, Water chose to trust his uncle. He firmly believed Uncle was not a criminal. The detective was the real villain. He took advantage of the detective's momentary distraction, kicked him hard, then ran off to seek his uncle's help. However, the detective soon overpowered him. The eager detective raised his arm and punched Water frantically. The commotion drew Jasmine's attention from the cornfield. Seeing his young master in distress, the king of the jungle finally unleashed his fierce side, rushing to protect his master. By the time Uncle emerged with a shotgun, the chaos had already settled. While the detective was severely injured, he was still alive. But the aged Jasmine had a heart attack while defending her master, fighting until her last breath. Before her passing, she exhibited true heroism, but alas, that was how her story ended. The next day, they buried Jasmine in her beloved cornfield. Walter wore a suit, looking sharp like a class president. He honored the king of the jungle with a grand farewell and solemnly said goodbye to his 2 uncles. The holiday ended, and Water was about to return to the city with his mother. At the last moment, the 2 brothers felt a pang of sadness. Perhaps they had already regarded Water as their child. Even the Paw Patrol came to bid him farewell. Life ebbs and flows like the tide, and goodbyes are merely the prelude to reunions. Water smiled gently and nodded in acknowledgement. His only wish was for his 2 uncles to live a good life. Uncle 2 remained silent throughout, finally saying softly, "This soul that wandered for 14 years has finally found its home in this land." Both uncles kept their promise and lived until Walter graduated from college. After graduation, he became a cartoonist telling the tales of his uncles. One day, he received a phone call. While unexpected, it wasn't entirely surprising. Quietly passing away wasn't what his uncles envisioned. At 90, they were still flying that old plane. In laughter and good cheer, they soared towards the blue sky, becoming an eternal echo. Although they had a mishap while landing, at least they left without pain. In fact, their lives had already reached completion. The sheriff found the brothers well at home. All wealth belonged to Walter, with the one condition that they be buried in the cornfield, and remain forever with his beloved wolf Molly. Walter felt deeply, only to see a helicopter approaching from the horizon. A suited elite arrived after seeing the news about the uncle's incident. He was curious about the truth of the story. Once, when he was a child, his grandfather told him the legend of two valiant brothers.